Hello and welcome to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and joining me to talk about the Wake Forest Demon Deacons 2021 college football team is Mr. Logan Landers. How's it going, brother?
And what's going on, Jeremiah? 2021 season for the Demon Deacons, man. This team's got a loyal fan base. It might not be the biggest team in football, but their fans are very loyal, and I'm ready to talk about them here today.
Yeah, and that's a good point, is that this may not be a team that our viewers are 100% familiar with. You may not follow them on a daily basis. You may not have even had them on your radar until they got that bowl game last year. But guess what? The Demon Deacons are a team. They're a football team, and they're a strong team. You maybe know their basketball team a little better, but I'll tell you one thing. If you went to Wake Forest, if you're an alumni, or if you're there currently, then this is your team. And so thank you so much to the Wake Forest community for supporting our show here at 100 Yards of Football. And we just want to support you just like we support every team. We don't care if you're the number one team. We don't care if you don't have, the hugest reputation yet, but we're going to do the same thing we do with any great team. We're going to break it down. We're going to tell you about these teams and get you hyped up because these seasons are coming. And this is going to be the first season back after the big other season, and we're into this next season. We're going to put butts back in the stadium. Let's go and have a great tailgate. Let's go down to the Wake Forest, college area and just walk through, and everybody's having their tailgates. Everybody's getting their cookout on, and then everybody's going to file into their stadium and they're going to watch a great football game. So no matter who you are, you can appreciate how amazing the Wake Forest Demon Deacon season will be if you're sitting there right there in the seats watching them play their game. So without further ado, Mr. Landers, tell us, what does the Wake Forest community have to look forward to this season for the Demon Deacons?
Yeah, so coming off of last year, they finished 4-5, right under 500, but it wasn't a horrible 4-5 by any means necessary. This team put up a lot of points. Jeremiah, if just a few games, I'm looking at here from their past 2020 season, they put up 66 points. They put up 40 points. I see 53 as well. So the offense was clicking last year, but the defense gave up just as many points. So, sometimes whenever you score a bunch of points like that, other times you might give up just as many, and that's unfortunately what happened to Wake Forest last year. I think if that defense would have stepped up a little bit stronger, this team would have had a better than 500 record. But it's a new season. Like you said, they went to a bowl game. They unfortunately couldn't get the win in that one. They lost to Wisconsin in the Mayo Bowl, 28-42. So it's all right, though. You're coming into 2021, and this team is pretty unique, Jeremiah, because you're getting a lot of guys back from last year. I mean, a lot of these players know that they're not getting highly recruited. They are one of the lower tier teams in the ACC, so they're not getting as many eyes on them as, say, the Florida States and the Clemsons of the world. But they know that Wake Forest is their team. They're going to come out and show up for their fans, like you mentioned, and they have a bunch of guys coming back. Like I've said before many times in the program, with COVID being, shortening the season, canceling a few games last year, they allowed seniors to come back for one more season, and Wake Forest took advantage of that by any means necessary. They have 9 super seniors returning for their 5th or 6th year, so they are coming back for their last year of football, hoping to get a Wake Forest team to get a winning record. They have 19 starters coming back as well. And, man, they have a lot of guys. They have a lot of young guys as well. They have 10 players who are came in January. You have 8 freshmen and 2 transfers as well who are going to make the practices even more competitive with these wily vets who I mentioned. So you have a lot of guys who are going to be coming in here. You have lower recruits, like I said, because, it's the ACC. You got Clemson, Florida State, so on and so forth, Georgia Tech, too, who are going to be picking apart some of the better recruits. So Wake Forest, while you might not have gotten the highly ranked guys, the 5-star recruits, anything like that, there are still diamonds in the rough. We've seen it time and time again. College scouting isn't perfect by any means necessary. That's just star rankings or just, combine or numbers that they've just seen in high school. So even though you might not have done great in high school, or you might not have been ranked as high as some of the other guys, that doesn't mean you're still not a good football player. And you're going to come into Wake Forest with a chance to compete. So I think a big key this year that Wake Forest needs to have is just be healthy. You got to stay healthy. Injuries have absolutely hurt this team the last couple of seasons. But like I said, especially last year with the injuries, of course, with the defense, that just was not helping out as well. The defense just was not looking good at all. at times last year. But it's all right, though, because this team, what was it? They might not have the best record in school history. From the last few seasons, they've looked pretty good. Best school seasons, best winning records in school season from 2017 to 2020. So they are on the come up, and that's good to see from a team who, like you said, Jeremiah, is mostly known for being a basketball program. They've had a lot of greats coming in there, but they're trying to get it together on the football side, which you got to applaud, and hopefully that they can take that next big step, getting over 500. And I think they could maybe take that step this year. But let's talk about the team, and let's see what they can do this upcoming year. So, I mean, if you watched any of the 2020 season, it's going to look like pretty much the same this 2021 season, because every single starter is coming back on offense. So that's always great to see. The O-line was a little bit shaky last year, but you have the returning starters who played almost 90% of the snaps. They're coming back. They've got some experience against these teams, and that's what you love to see. You have a few other guys coming. You have a good bit of transfers, as well as some guys from Maryland with Terrence Davis. So we'll see if those guys can help out on the line and help out with that offense as well. So you have Sam Hartman, who's your veteran QB, who's done a lot for the school, and he's going to be coming back, helping them get a few more wins. He's done a lot. He's not really a running threat by anything necessary. He's more of a just kind of stay in the pocket and throw it as far as I can kind of guy. But whenever he's on, he's looking pretty solid. So you have a veteran quarterback, knows the system, and I think that's going to help out in the long run. And he put up 429 yards and 4 touchdowns just against North Carolina, which was a very good school last year. So he's shown flashes of brilliance, and he also had 63% of his passes completed. So that's also great through 7 games. So he was doing really good. But towards the end of the year, in the last 2 games of the year, it kind of crumbled a little bit. He didn't have the best 2 games to end the season. But he did show that for the majority of 2020 that he can be a great quarterback. So you just need to see him do it throughout the whole season this year instead of just 80%. So I think that's a big key. I think how is Hartman going to do? You have a lot of great guys, like I said. You have all of your starters coming back. You have Jakari Robinson, who averaged more than 100 yards a game at your receiving position. Also, very good name to look at there. You have former guys like Donovan Green, who was a great recruit. He's coming in, trying to get some good work on the outside as well. You have Taylor Morin as well. So you have a few guys who are, like I said, all stars are coming back, and they're going to hope to come into this year and get their numbers up even more, and we'll see what they can do. So you have some tight ends. You have Brandon Chapman and Blake Whiteheart, who didn't have a whole lot to do in the passing game. They did more of a tight end scheme where they're just more blockers. Both of those gentlemen only had 10 passes caught combined between the two. So I'm not expecting for them to magically just get more balls thrown than this year. I expect kind of more of the same. But that's always good to add another blocker sometimes because, man, like I mentioned, with those big powerhouse schools in the ACC, you're going to need as much blocking as you can for your quarterback. So I can see why they go that route, no doubt about that. As for the running game, they don't really you have Christian Beal-Smith, who's coming back, who's going to help lead the backfield. So we're going to see what he's going to do. But it does hurt a little bit because you had Kenneth Walker III, who was looking to have a breakout year, but he unfortunately got hurt this upcoming season. So we'll see how he does with that and if he can return better than ever. So you have Christian Taylor coming in as a transfer as well, who hasn't had a whole lot of time playing as well. But he is a young guy who is ready, has his legs are fresh. So the running game, a little bit unproven, I would say. But they're mostly a pass-heavy team, as you can see with all the points they scored last year. So we'll see if they can keep it up because you have a lot of guys coming back. You have a lot of guys who are ready to prove that, hey, Wake Forest is a team to be reckoned with this year, and they're not to be messed with. But let's go over to the defense. And like I said, this was really where the team was struggling last year, was on the defensive side of the ball. They had a lot, they gave up a lot of points. They haven't gotten many turnovers. So we'll see, man. They didn't have the best linebackers. Your injury, like I said, injuries was key, and that absolutely hurt their secondary last year. They allowed 37 or more points in 5 games. So that's not acceptable. That's not going to be easy to get any wins if you allow that many points. So that is a big key for me this year. The offense, I think, is going to be fine. But the defense is really where this team needs to step it up and prove that if they're going to be serious, they really got to get their defense on point. You have a lot of guys coming back who have the experience, but like I said, they got to stay on the field. You got to be healthy. So we'll see what they can do. But you do have a few bright points, of course. You have Miles Fox. You have 10.5 tackles for losses last year. Looks like he might be, one of kind of a breakout stars for this program. So he is great. You also have Tyler Williams as well as Kamara. So both of those guys are looking to be pretty solid on the interior line. So you're hoping they can do some good work. You have a few transfers as well coming over to help you out, some guys from Michigan. And I think that we'll see what these guys can do. So the outside is going to have a little bit more questions as well. You did lose Carlos Basham, who was drafted last year. So can Ja'Cory Johns, will he live up to his potential? Can he step up and prove that this guy is for real? We'll have to see. As for the linebackers, like I said, they are a little bit of a question mark right now. We'll see what they can do. You have Ryan Smeta Jr., who's got some injuries as well, but he had 16 tackles in the bowl game last year against Wisconsin. So when he's on the field, Jeremiah, he can put up some good numbers, which is what you love to see. You have Luke Masterson as well, who's, he was a former safety. Now he's going to a linebacking position. We'll see what he can do now with a little bit less ground for him to cover. So they do have a few guys who are coming into this year who might be in either new positions, who might just be fired up after a not so good 2020 season. So I think that overall, if you're Wake Forest, I think they'll get to that 500 record, maybe even above. Let me get their schedule looked up here. I'm seeing, of course, you're in the ACC. You're going to face a few tough teams. I see Florida State. I see Louisville. Also, of course, you can't forget about North Carolina and Clemson. Yeah. So there are some games that this team should win. I expect them to play some close games as well. And as long as the defense can step up this year and allow, under 30 points a game, honestly, I think that would really help out this team, because the offense has shown that they can put up points in bunches, but the defense has to stop on the other end as well, or else it all goes for waste. But if you're a Wake Forest Demon Deacons fan, I expect maybe another bowl performance from you guys this upcoming season. I expect a better record. Like I said, I see 500, maybe a game above that, nothing too crazy. But I think this team is going to improve, and I think they're going to have a good 2021 season.
Oh, yeah. And I think that you're right. The Wake Forest Demon Deacons, they may not be, like I said, a team that, makes all the headlines every single year, but this is a solid team. This is a team that's about fundamentals, and this is a team that's going to come into this season raring to go. And if you're a big fan of the Demon Deacons, then tell us in the comments, what do you think? What are you most excited about? And if you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, thank you so much. All of your shares over to your friends and family and telling everybody about 100 Yards of Football, that's the reason we do what we do. And it's also the reason that we have grown so quickly and so exponentially in the last few years. And if you're listening to our podcast, thank you so much. But if you're not listening to our podcast yet, jump over and listen to our podcast anywhere that you listen to podcasts, including over on Spotify, including over on Apple Podcast, or anywhere else that you listen to podcasts. We are 100 Yards of Football anywhere that you listen to podcasts. And we put out a new podcast pretty much every day, so you can listen to us on your way to work. You can listen to us while you're at work, or if you work from home, and you can listen to us on your drive back home. And not only do we do great team previews with Logan Landers and the rest of our team, but we also do interviews with legendary players, current NFL players, the coaching staffs from all over the country, other sportscasters, and we do historic videos about incredible classic teams like back to the old Chicago Bears or back to the old Florida State Seminoles and all of the great classic teams. And we get those with our original host, Vincent Mr. Football Turner, who is simply an encyclopedia of football knowledge. I love to listen to him talk about football, and I love all the things I learned every time that he puts out a podcast. So our whole team is there to support you every day through thick and thin. And we're just wondering, what is it that you want to hear? So if there's any special team you want us to cover, if there's anything else that you'd like to hear us cover, and plus, if you're a Wake Forest fan and you'd like to see us cover more Wake Forest, then please send us a comment, send us an email, or, check us out anywhere on social media, 100 Yards of Football, and we will absolutely be there for you, because that's what we do. We are here for our fans, we're here for our communities, and we're here to talk about football. So for everybody here, I am Jeremiah Long, the producer, and you've been listening to Logan Landers give a breakdown of the Wake Forest Demon Deacons for their 2021 college football team. We'll be right back with another live episode.